Are either one of you aware at that moment that all of this rage is coming from these old traumas?
Sometimes.
I wasn't aware until someone told me I was.
So now does it happen less because you're more aware? Or are you able to control it more?
I think it's a bit of that mixed with medication.
Okay. I can see that helping. How about yourself, Fiona? Are you on any medication?
I am, but the medication doesn't help with my BPD.
Okay. Have you done
More for the depression, anxiety, but there's nothing that helps.
Have you done CBT or DPD?
No, so I have
DBT.
actually.
DBT.
I talked about doing
Fucking all
it,
these
but I
acronyms.
never. I'm gonna look into.
So CBT is cognitive behavioral thinking.
It's the other one. What's the other one?
Dialectic
Yeah,
behavioral
Dialectical
thinking.
behavioral
Yeah, that's
But
therapy.
CBT teaches you that the world is not coming to an end.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot harder.
Yeah, everything is not catastrophic. Everything is not like he always does this, or I know it's gonna happen. Like making these broad statements that everything is absolute and it always will be, and nothing's gonna change, and everything sucks in the world. They kind of teach you coping mechanisms that when that rupture happens, to be able to identify and say, okay, this is an old wound. This is old trauma. It's not what's happening right now. What's happening right now has to do with this agreement or disagreement with this piece of chicken that I ate or whatever the fuck it was.
So for me personally, I feel in a sober mind state, I have more control over it. I have more control over.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah.
Makes
Sober.
sense.
Sober.
Give
That's
me
the
a
big
couple
word.
drinks
That's the worst.
and I'm not the same
What
person.
if you're able to tell the difference
have no control.
between an old wound to what's happening now, but you're still acting out and you feel it's necessary to pull out the old wounds regardless?
Yeah, because it still hurts.
It
Yeah.
still happens. It's
Yeah.
like the rage is just going to be there. You can think about it and be like, I can either go this way or I can go this way, right? Like it's either going to go good or it's going to go bad. And I'm still going to choose the bad route because that's just who I am. Like
So-
I'll give myself the option and be like, you could do this or do this, but I still go with.
So even after when you've calmed down, the episode's over,
Mhm.
and now you start to rethink what took place. Do you have regrets saying I shouldn't have went with that?
Yeah,
Do you try to correct it?
sometimes.
What do you do to correct it? You go and say,
Depends.
I'm sorry, but
Hard to do on your own.
It depends on what the situation is. It would have to be like, I'd have to know an exact situation to be able to bring it
Actually,
up.
you know what? I
you're
have
wrong,
seen
right?
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
but you won't still admit it though that you're wrong.
No, I have. I
But
admit when I'm wrong all the time.
you'll add something to it. You'll add the
No,
but.
I will admit when I'm wrong. I'm probably one of the most self-aware bullies,
But Cheyenne
knows
just said
that
you don't
I'm also-
apologize.
but I do.
No,
Yeah, but you add a
your
but.
apology is not
No,
your apology is not an
I-
apology.
No, because you want to know what it is?
Please talk into the mic.
You want to know what my issue is? Is that I don't like people that are vaginas. Okay.
Vagina.
Bonus holes?
Peop-
You don't like bonus
I
holes?
don't like people that act like bonus holes.
What do you mean? Sorry, you have to elaborate.
In the
What
sense
do you mean
that
by
like
that?
they're
Waiting
just
for an
so like
apology.
they're just always wanting like like
Yeah.
they need an apology. They need like they need validation for what's going on. It's like
No, but
people are just-
but isn't
No,
that
it
unfair
happens too
because
much.
you want validation as well too?
but I
You want validation when
It's
you're having
annoying
your
'cause they're being
but when you're having your
because there's like validation for just being there, but then there's validation for like being
So-
pathetic.
so
I
when
don't
you're-
know.
hold on,
You
so-
don't understand what I mean? There's
I
pathetic
totally
get what you're
validation.
saying.
No, there's some people that are pathetically needing validation.
fine,
Yeah,
but
that's
when
true.
you're having your episode and you're raging, you want validation at that time as well. It's my emotions, my feelings. Love me right now
No,
when you hate me the most.
I want people to
That's
just fuck off.
pathetic.
I want people to fuck off and never touch me and don't come near me. Like when I'm in one of those rage things, I want people
Yeah.
to not talk to me, leave me alone. If people start touching me, I'm like, touch me again, you're gonna get
no,
kicked in the
we're not
nuts.
about touching. We
But
mentioned
I mean,
earlier.
speaking or like anything.
We mentioned
like,
earlier that you want unconditional love in the moments when you're raging. You want people to be able to forgive you when you act
sometimes, not always.
out, right?
Yeah.
Not always though.
Yeah.
Only
Sometimes I just want a
sometimes.
reaction.
Sometimes I do
But
it.
the
just-
reaction that you want is not them cutting you out of their life.
Sometimes it is.
Sometimes it is.
It's like self-destructive. Like,
You
oh,
don't
But
care.
again, it's self-destructive.
it's
Yeah,
That's
basically
my
like
whole point.
I'm trying
It
to
is.
think of like a concrete example. For example, say I'm in high school, I'm dating a guy, and because of my self-confidence, I'm going to assume he's cheating on me. So because of that, I'm going to put him in a situation where like he's basically going to look like an idiot no matter what he does. And then I'm going to be like, oh, I love you, but don't leave me.
That's
so messed up.
manipulative.
But it
That
happens.
that is manipulative. That
Yep.
is dark. Sorry to
Right.
say.
Oh,
But-
no worries.
But I mean, I feel for that guy.
I don't do it anymore, but I feel bad for anyone I was with in high school.
So once you have cut somebody out, you've basically forgotten about them. Out of sight, out of mind.
Not for me. I mourn them. I'm just like, I regret. Should I have done that? Should I have given them another chance?
Okay.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it really depends on the situation.
Depends on the person.
and if they
the
hurt me,
situation,
like
how close you are.
in a really bad way, like if they traumatize me somehow, then no, I'll just cut them
Of
out.
course not. But so if you're like, for example, for you with your sisters,
Mhm.
do you ever wish that your relationship was better with them?
Yes.
But at the same time, you also hate on them too.
Yeah, but we're completely different people. My sisters are very like,
Forget about your sister. I'm talking about you.
yeah, but
'Cause
we're very different.
You're talking about
people.
them because that's the same thing I was saying. Sorry, but
Yeah.
I'm saying you.
He's deflecting.
Yeah.
You're deflecting. So when you think about your sisters, and correct me if I'm wrong, you in your own mind will justify what you're feeling and find ways to say what I'm feeling is right and what I did was right, and that's that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Right?
But it makes it easier for me too because
Accept
it's
it.
like I've put up a wall with my sisters because they all have the same dad. They were closer growing up. It's just the dynamic of growing up is why I am the way I am with my sisters. It's like they didn't get along with my dad, so I was always treated different. My dad spoiled me, and my sisters didn't get the spoiled treatment because I was his little baby. You know what I mean? So I got raised where my sisters looked at me like a spoiled brat. So they didn't get the nice things that I got. So there was always a divide between us anyway. So even if I wanted to be closer with my sisters, and even if that's where my wall is up, where it's like, I want to be closer, but even if I didn't have this mental illness and maybe like, I still feel like it's just not, I still wouldn't have what I wanted. You know what I mean?
No.
No, but I just,
No.
I don't know.
I don't agree with you.
No, because
She's like, it's almost like a great excuse for me not to have to talk
Yeah,
to them.
no. I mean, I understand what you're saying based on experience, but no, I don't agree. I don't agree that, that obviously, once again, it's a coping mechanism, right? So you've told yourself that it would have turned out this way, whether I had a condition or not.
Yeah.
And whatever it is, it's for the better. No, not necessarily, right? So one of the things that I've read about BPD, and this is probably one of the things that people don't know, and you can correct me on how you guys see this, the amount of emotions and pain that you feel is 1,000 times more than a normal person would feel. So
Totally.
if you're hurt by something, you are like fucking devastated.
Well,
Whereas
like
another person
as
just
I've
kind of hurt.
mentioned before,
Physical
I have a
pain.
brain injury that I was born with because of that. So disorder or not, that's always how I'm going to be.
So you always will feel things more intensely than somebody else.
Yeah.
So with you, for example, Fiona, when you feel hate, it's way more intense than what somebody else would feel.
yeah, like I had like,
And a lot of people online say this, that
I go to a dark place sometimes.
females and males, both who suffer with BPD, are not loyal. They cheat a lot and they sleep around,
I've never really heard
Hmm.
of that.
I've never
especially when
heard that
alcohol is
either.
involved. Oh, it's all
I've
over.
heard the NPD doing that because they want to feel like they're a god and they can get anyone they want.
But BPD, from what I've read, is they jump from relationship to relationship and they
that
fall.
is true.
They
But
fall in love very quickly,
that's true. Yes.
and they idolize very quickly,
Yes.
and then it burns to the
I
ground.
misunderstood
Yes.
what you said. I thought you meant like, oh, we cheat on everyone. We never have relationships.
No. So for
we
example,
jump from relationship to relationship fast. I
Yes.
agree with that
no, but
Very
if
much so.
if you were in a relationship
because we hate being alone.
and then you discarded that person and you split on them and you
Mhm.
think all black about them, there'll be no issue going out that weekend and hooking up with someone,
Not at
At
all.
all.
Not at all. No.
right? Whereas a normal person,
Not in
It's because of the
slightest.
black and white. Because it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you hurt me, you're dead to me.
yeah,
Pretty much.
and I'm gonna
Especially
move
if they broke
Yeah.
up with you, then you're like, now I have to find somebody to like rub in their face.
on. Well, what if you broke up with them?
Personally,
Yeah,
that's
you could
not
wanna,
really
you
the
could
case
wanna
with
break
me.
up with
But
them and still want to go out and
sometimes,
Get it on somebody
get some
else.
D.
yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Just
sometimes.
like that.
It's because
Yeah.
we hate being with ourselves. We need someone to validate us and say like we're not crazy, we're not unlovable.
So is it true about the mirroring that people with
Sometimes.
BPD mirror their partners?
Ah.
So mirror basically means that what they like, you will like in the beginning of the relationship.
Yes.
That you will
actually.
like what their interests are going to become your interests
Yeah.
in the beginning.
I've grown out of
person's
that,
like, oh my God,
thankfully,
this person's
but-
just incredible because that person's actually falling in love with themselves. I
Yeah.
don't realize that.
That is
Oh,
why
you
we
know
like
what?
the
That makes so
narcissist.
much sense.
Right? This is why we watched all those
This is why I
movies.
wanted you to come hear what Cam had to say about BPD, because everything he was saying in one of the previous
I'm in a
meetings we had, I
therapy
was like,
session right now, Cam.
he's like, he's breaking it down, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I need Fiona to listen to this, because I'm like, I think she'll understand a lot more about herself than she realizes.
So do you do that? Have you done that? The mirroring.
No, but yeah,
I've done it too.
It makes so much sense.
It
You
does.
will take on
That's
the
why
things
we
that
like the
person
narcissist.
So if
likes.
you meet a guy, he's into football, you're like, oh wow, that's great. And
Yeah.
even though you
Yeah.
don't give a shit,
Yeah.
but now all of a sudden you like it because he likes it.
Yeah.
Exact-
And it becomes a priority for you
Mhm.
to make
Hit
him
the nail
happy.
right in the head.
Because
Chameleon.
now you want to make this person
You wanna
so
feel
happy
useful.
Yeah.
that they will cling on to you and never
That's what it
leave
is.
you,
Yeah.
right?
And then once they want you, then you're like, oh,
Okay.
I don't want you anymore.
Yeah.
Hey,
no, not all people. Even
it happens.
Yeah, that does happen. But that's engulf. That has to do with
I've
engulfment.
done that a lot since
engulfment,
high school.
because they can't handle that. That's engulfment. But
I'd
a lot
make
of
people want me, and then once they wanted me, it just wasn't fun anymore. And then I'd be like, okay.
So, have you been told that you might have some traits of NPD?
No, but I definitely think I do.
I think you do.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I'm not a doctor or anything, but
no,
just from
I
talking,
definitely think I do.
I think you've got some. And a lot of people BPD, 40% of them actually have that.
Mhm.
There
Yeah.
are some overlapping, right? And so the next thing is the thought of, they say that I think 12 or 13% of people BPD commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Well, growing up, did you have thoughts of suicide?
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't have gotten help had I not
I've
had
tried
those
it.
thoughts. Because if you don't have suicidal thoughts, they're like, okay, in 6 years, you'll be able to talk to somebody about possibly getting therapy. But if you're like, I'm going to kill myself right now,
get
they're
you
like,
in.
go to the hospital, you're in. That was the only way to do it.
So Fiona, you said you've tried it.
Yeah. When my
I have
dad
as well, yeah.
died, when my dad died, I took my whole bottle of pills.
How long ago was that?
2014.
And how are you now, like in your mental state, when it comes to, having these,
I'll have like a random
Dreadful
thought if
thoughts.
I'm really angry, where I'm like, I don't want to fucking be here anymore, like that kind of thought, but never a thought of like killing myself or taking pills or doing like I don't have those thoughts.
That's
I just
good.
have thoughts of not wanting to be here sometimes, not wanting to deal with the stress. That's the
Mhm.
only thoughts, really.
and with your children and like your family, so like your three sisters or whoever else
Yeah.
that you were close with. So if you don't spend time with your sisters, let's say after you got into an argument with them, and they're basically in your bad books now, and is it true what they say that with people with BPD, out of sight, out of mind?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
It
That's
is
just
for me in the sense that like I can cut somebody off, and if I don't want to talk to them, I won't talk to them. If they want to message me and say, "Hey, what's going on?" then I'll reach back out. But I'm not going to usually be the first one to do it because I just don't care to.
So would your
Like
part,
life
you
is
know,
too short to be miserable and have people in your life that make you miserable. That's how I look at it.
no, but at the same time though, life is too short to burn relationships.
Yeah, but
There's that way of looking at it as well.
Yeah,
like
but-
it's
But if a relationship isn't serving you, then
no,
yeah,
but at the same,
I
but
have no
also,
problem burning bridges if
but,
they're not
you know, it takes two
going
hands to
anywhere I
clap.
want to go.
No, but it takes two hands to clap. So both
Yeah.
parties are equal. You cannot. There's never going to be. I mean, there are very rare, but most failed relationships, both parties are responsible. It's not just one side. One could have been the enabler
Yeah.
and allowed it to happen, right? Even that they're guilty of that.
Yeah.
So both sides are held accountable. You cannot, if you say life is too short for bullshit, well,
Mhm.
you're also putting out that bullshit,
Yeah.
right?
That's what I mean. It goes both ways. Like one person can deal with bullshit and put up with bullshit, but still not want to put up with the bullshit. Like even though you're giving that person bullshit and you just don't want to do it anymore. Like
you-
for me,
but
it's
you- but
just
you
not,
want
it's
them
not
to- but-
worth it. It's not worth it. If you're both going to be stressed and you're both going to be miserable or whatever the situation is, say in a relationship, like what's the sense in continuing to try something that's never going to change? Like I feel like, especially in a relationship, once things have been said or done, especially with somebody with BPD, we take things to mind. So it's like,
Yeah.
you can say something, you could punch me in my face, but those words that you said are going to stick with me more than that punch.
That's
I don't care
true.
about the punch.
But
it's
you
the
also
words.
but you also dish it out as well.
Exactly. But with us, somebody that's normal, they don't take the words to heart the way that we take it to heart. So
That's
we'll take
true.
it to heart, and it's like a dagger to us where
We'll analyze it.
and we'll analyze it. We'll break it down inside
We'll
of our head.
dream about it.
We literally will keep it in our head so that the next time something happens, it's like, oh yeah, now we're whipping this out. Now we're gonna whip this
Yeah,
out.
it's
Now
like,
we're gonna,
I knew
that's
that
how
I
we
was a
work.
failure.
Like,
This proves
it's
the
just-
fact that I'm a failure.
BPD.